Hi, I'm Lee Jones from Carleton University, and I'm presenting Wearable Crazy Eights, Wearable Ideation Methods for Encouraging Divergent Design Concepts. Okay, so why do wearables need ideation activities? There's a few reasons. The first one is if we look at commercial wearables, most of them have hard form factors such as wristbands or jewelry. This doesn't really cover all the new things that we can do with e-textiles and soft materials. Also, the scope of these wearables is quite narrow, so they focus a lot on biometric tracking rather than the reasons why we wear clothes and accessories, such as for comfort or for different contexts. Finally, how do we ideate concepts if we don't know what's possible? So if the current wearables that are available are quite narrow, it limits what we can imagine. To help with this, we looked at a few ways that we can involve individuals in the design process. One of the most common ways is sketching. So you don't have to know how to draw really well in order to do a rough sketch with annotations. And also ideation decks. So ideation decks are useful for thinking of new concepts or design considerations. So if someone doesn't have a background in design, this can help them think of different contexts or situations where they might want to use a wearable device. So what we want to do is to combine these two methods to make something that was easy to use and to help individuals think of new concepts. We developed a method called Wearable Crazy Eights, which uses an ideation deck and rapid sketching. So how it works is you can have your ideation deck as a paper-based or an online ideation deck, and then you have a set of cards that you pick that has 3 different cards, one that's a garment, one that's a situation, and one that's an adverb. So for example, in this situation, someone got a skirt for walking, surprisingly. They rapidly sketched out their idea, which is a skirt with stripes that make noise when touched. And then they move on to the next one and repeat this for 8 minutes. So you're trying to get 8 different concepts in 8 minutes. And the idea with the rush or the time pressure is that it forces individuals to quickly come up with concepts without critiquing their concepts yet. This is the Wearable Crazy Eights website. There's an 8-minute timer to count down the minutes, and then you click next set to get each set of ideation cards. And as you can see, as you're clicking through them, a lot of them are really wonderful and wacky. We divided our participants into 3 groups so we could parse the different aspects of this method. Group A, they only did sketching. So what they did is they had a piece of paper that divided into 8 squares, and they tried to just sketch as many wearable concepts as they could in 8 minutes. Group B did the same idea. So they were trying to do as many concepts as they could, but they used the ideation deck to inspire those concepts. And then group C, again, they did the wearable ideation activity with the cards. But then afterwards, they got together in pairs to pick their favorite concept. And while they were designing their favorite idea, they had a list of sensors and actuators they could discuss and see what's actually possible with wearable technology. Based on this, they came up with a lot of different concepts. And what we did was we analyzed their favorite ideas. Our findings from the activity were the first group that didn't have any ideation cards and were just making as many ideas as they could. It was really useful for them to push past their first concept. So only one individual out of all 10 individuals picked their first concept as their favorite, and others picked the ones that they came up later on as their favorite idea. Those who had the ideation cards, so group B and C, they made more clothing concepts, where the groups that didn't have the ideation cards made more accessories. This makes sense since a lot of commercially available wearables are accessories. Those who used the cards also made more concepts around physical comfort. So for example, there was someone who developed a jacket that remembers hugs. You can get a squeeze later on. Someone else made a studio cape. So while they're working on their artworks, they could have all things that they would want to adjust in their studio. So it would heat up, provide more light, etc. And someone else made a toque that has speakers in the ear. So during winter, it's sometimes difficult to wear headphones and hats at the same time. So they developed it where there would be speakers already in the ear, so you wouldn't have to wear both. Though the third group, so those who worked in pairs with a list of sensors and actuators, made more concepts that use wearable technology and fit the context. So that third group is group C in blue here. And they made more concepts that were both wearable technologies, but also wearables that fit the context. So a great example of this is that winter hat I was talking about, where they're thinking about when you would want to have speakers and what kind of things you'd be wearing during that. So in winter, when it's cold and you can't wear headphones easily, that's when you'd want speakers in your toque. Overall, this sketching activity doesn't replace embodied activities, but can be a good addition to. For example, one of our participants thought up a cocktail dress for walking, surprisingly. And what they ended up doing was developing this 1920s dress with stroke sensors in it. But it's only when they actually build the prototype afterwards that they're able to evaluate it. So this activity isn't so much for evaluation, this activity is just for ideation. Wearable Crazy Eights is available as a physical ideation deck in our supplemental material and as an online card deck at wearablecrazyeights.com. So you can use it in your wearable ideation activities. Thank you.